General Mattis, are there strong indications that Al-Qaida is making a comeback in Iraq?
Yes, sir. Notably in the western Iraq area, but the threat is extending into Baghdad.
General Mattis, General Burgess, Director of Defense Intelligence Agency, testified last month that the Assad regime and its military remain a, quote, viable, cohesive, and effective force. In the same hearing, James Clapper, Director of National Intelligence, testified that absent some kind of external intervention, Assad will, quote, hang in there and continue to do as he's done. You agree with General Burgess and Director Clapper's assessments?
Sir, Assad has chosen violence. I think his military is under more pressure every day. Their desertions rate is going up, but in aggregate, I agree with General Burgess's assessment.
If current conditions persist, absent external intervention, how long do you think Assad could remain in power? Indefinitely?
I don't think indefinitely, sir, but I would be very slow to put a time horizon on it. I think he's going to be there for some time because I think he will continue to employ heavier and heavier weapons on his people. I think it will get worse before it gets better.
And recent reports of increased Iranian involvement as well as Russian arms supplies make it worse. Would you say that Assad's crackdown, especially in recent events in Homs, is gaining or losing momentum?
He's gaining physical momentum, sir, on the battlefield. I think he's creating more enemies. I think he's creating more reason, more international pressure against him. But on the tactical battlefield, he is clearly achieving what he wants to achieve.
I think we would agree that Syria, out of the hands of Assad, and a chance to be free and democratic, would be one of the greatest blows to Iran. As far as Lebanon is concerned, Hezbollah, Iran's closest ally, that it would be in America's strategic interest to see Assad go.
Yes, sir. It'll be the biggest strategic setback for Iran in 20 years when Assad falls, not if, but when. He's going to go.
And fundamentally, we went to the Balkans because ethnic cleansing and genocide was taking place in Bosnia and Kosovo in the 1990s. Do you see a difference between the kind of slaughter that's going on in Syria now and the kind that was going on in Kosovo and in Bosnia? Maybe a difference in scale, but sort of the same kind of actions and being taken by the government?
Certainly each situation is unique, but as far as the trend, I would not disagree with your characterization.
Under current conditions, would simply providing arms to the opposition to be sufficient to help them end the violence and to force Assad to leave power?
Sir, providing arms is perhaps an option. That would be a policy option. I think we'd have to do our best to determine who we're providing the arms to and follow the physician's oath of first do no harm to make certain what we're doing is actually going to reduce the scale of violence ultimately. I mean, it may go up for a short time, but I think you'd have to look at it very closely because the longer this goes on, the more potential there is for Al-Qaida and for basically a full-scale civil war.
Have you seen any evidence that Al-Qaida have any significant role in Syrian opposition today?
Yes, sir, we have in terms of the rather spectacular IED attacks.
So every time I've seen one of these crises, the first answer is, we don't know who these people are. And it could be Al-Qaida. I heard that Egypt. I heard that Tunisia. I heard it Libya. We don't know who these people are, and they're probably Al-Qaida. And you know what that flies in the face of, General? People who yearn for liberty and not being under the rule of an oppressive, brutal dictatorship. So all of a sudden, now, we will again assume, well, it's Al-Qaida. Well, I've just returned from a trip, Egypt, Tunisia, and Libya, and there's always the threat of extremism. But there's no doubt the people that made the revolution were not Al-Qaida. In fact, they were in direct repudiation of Al-Qaida. So, frankly, one grows a little weary of this. We don't know who they are, and they're probably Al-Qaida. General, Admiral, do you think we can find out who they are?
Sir, I think it's always prudent to find out who your allies are and who your enemy is.
Is it prudent to stand on the side of freedom and democracy against one of the most oppressive dictators in the world? Is it?
No, sir.
Is that prudent?
No, sir.
Isn't that what the United States has been standing for a couple of 100 years at least? Isn't that why we fought wars? So, frankly, I grow irritated and I grow angry when I see and meet these people who have sacrificed their very lives and their family and are wounded. When I visit a hospital in Benghazi where a whole shipload of wounded young men have just returned, and I didn't see a single one of them that was Al-Qaida. Not a single one. I didn't see a single one of them that died before my eyes that was Al-Qaida. So I suggest we find out who these people are, and I guarantee you that you will find out that it's not Al-Qaida. That it's not Al-Qaida. It's people who have the same yearnings that are universal, and that's freedom, democracy, and our God-given rights. So I would hope we would spend some time with your unique capabilities in finding out who these people are. And I'm surprised you haven't tried to do that before. You should do it. Because this conflict is going to go on and a whole lot of people are going to die if we allow the status quo to prevail because, quote, we don't know who they are.
Thanks, Senator McCain. General Mattis McRaven, thanks very much.